All right, today we're diving into a book that makes a pretty powerful promise, one that could totally change how you handle your most important conversations. It's called Crucial Conversations: Tools for Talking When Stakes Are High. So here's our game plan. We're going to start by really getting a grip on the stakes behind our words. Then we'll look at the two big traps we all fall into, silence or violence. After that, we're unpacking the real heart of the book, the 7 guiding principles. We'll see how to take them from just theory into actual practice, and then we'll wrap up with some really powerful wisdom and reflection. So when you get right down to it, this book is really all about human dignity. It's about how we honor other people and ourselves, especially when the pressure is on, right? The authors argue that the very conversations we try to avoid, those are the ones that actually define our relationships and our results. And when we finally do have them, we often just stumble, driven by fear or ego or just old habits. So you see, this isn't just another book on communication. It's more like a guide to consciousness. It's inviting us to look inward at our own stories, our emotional triggers, and our patterns, basically calling us to lead with real intention, even when we feel completely overwhelmed. Okay, so what actually happens when a conversation suddenly gets, crucial? Our brain often just kicks right into survival mode. The amygdala, that primal part of our brain, it hijacks our higher reasoning. And almost instantly, we default to one of two paths: silence or violence. I bet these sound familiar, right? On one side, you've got silence. This is where you just avoid the issue, you withdraw, or you pretend everything's totally fine. And on the other side, you've got violence. And we're not talking physical violence, of course, but verbal. This is where we try to dominate, we start blaming, or we whip out the sarcasm to try and control things. So to fight against these defaults, the authors give us this brilliant idea: the pool of shared meaning. I want you to just picture it. It's like this metaphorical space where everyone in the conversation feels safe enough to put their real thoughts, feelings, and facts into the mix. The goal of any crucial conversation isn't to win. It's to make this pool bigger and deeper, so the collective wisdom is way greater than what any one person brought to the table. Yeah, the authors really nail it with this simple definition. Dialogue is the free flow of meaning between two or more people. And you know what? That free flow, that's exactly what we're aiming for. It's the absolute key to making better decisions and, honestly, building stronger relationships. Okay, so how do we actually create that free flow of meaning? Well, that brings us right to the heart of this book, the 7 guiding principles. Think of it like a practical toolkit for navigating these really high-stakes moments. All right, principle number 1 is to start with heart. And this is so important. Before a single word comes out of your mouth, you have to start with you. You gotta ask yourself, what are my true motives here? Am I trying to win, punish someone, or just get out of this conversation? Ask yourself honestly, what do I really want for me, for them, and for a relationship? A fantastic tool for this is what they call the "and" strategy. Instead of seeing it as a choice between being honest or being respectful, you ask, how can I be totally honest and deeply respectful at the same time? It all really boils down to this incredible insight. Self-awareness is the first step to relational mastery. Think about it. If you don't get what's going on inside of you, you've got zero chance of managing what happens between you and someone else. Next up, principle 2, learn to look. This means you need to become like a detective, a really keen observer of the emotional climate of the conversation. You're watching for the signs that things are going off the rails, both in yourself and in the other person. Are voices getting louder? Is someone totally shutting down? These are huge cues that safety is gone, and that's your signal to hit the pause button, reflect, and maybe change your approach. And here's a piece of advice from the book that is just vital on this point. The earlier you notice the shift, the easier it is to recover. It's all about catching that emotional hijack before it really picks up steam and runs away with the conversation. And that leads us perfectly into principle number 3, make it safe. You have to understand safety is the absolute foundation of any real dialogue. When it's gone, you have to get it back. A fantastic way to do this is with the crib method. Okay, let's break it down. C, commit to finding a mutual purpose. R, recognize the purpose behind the other person's strategy. I, invent a mutual purpose if you can't find one. And B, brainstorm new strategies that actually serve this shared goal you've just established. Because really, at the end of the day, it's just a simple human truth, isn't it? When people feel safe, they open up. When they feel threatened, they shut down. Creating that feeling of safety, it's everything. Okay, principle 4 is a total game changer. It's master your stories. See, our emotions, they don't just pop up out of nowhere from the facts. They come from the stories we tell ourselves about those facts. We have to get good at challenging our default narratives. And you know the ones I'm talking about. There's the victim story, oh, it's not my fault, or the villain story, they're the problem, they're evil, or the helpless story, well, there's nothing I can do about it. The real trick here is to swap that whole cycle of blame with genuine curiosity. And the big takeaway here is just so empowering. Rewrite your story, and you rewrite your response. We're not just passive observers watching our lives go by. We are the authors of our experience. Okay, so let's say your heart is in the right place. You've got your story straight. Now what? How do you actually speak your truth without starting a war? That's where Principle 5 comes in. State your path. And yep, it's another acronym, STATE. First, share your facts, just the objective, observable details. Then, tell your story. That's your interpretation of those facts. Next, ask for their path. Genuinely invite their perspective. Then, talk tentatively. Don't act like your story is the one and only truth. And finally, encourage testing. Make it super clear that you want to hear different views. So, in real life, it might sound something like this. So in real life, it might sound something like this. Hey, here's what I've noticed. And just so you know, here's the story I'm telling myself about it. But I'm really curious. What's your view on all this? See how different that feels? It invites a dialogue instead of a fight. But what about the other side of the coin? Listening. That's where Principle 6 comes in. Explore others' paths. And you guessed it, we've got another great acronym for this one. AMPP. A is for ask, to gently invite them to share. M is for mirror, where you reflect their emotions back to show you're getting it. P is for paraphrase, where you summarize what they said in your own words to check for understanding. And the last P is for prime. This is when you offer a gentle guess at what they might be thinking or feeling if they're really hesitant to open up. And finally, we've arrived at Principle 7, move to action, because all this amazing dialogue has to actually lead somewhere, right? This is the part where we get super clear on who will do what and by when. The book suggests using clear decision-making models, whether it's command, consult, vote, or going for a full consensus. Because let's be real, without clear action, all that valuable insight just evaporates. Accountability, that's what makes the change stick. Okay, so we've got the theory, we've got the tools, but what does this actually look like in the real world? Let's talk about how these principles can literally transform a tense moment into one of lasting trust. Just think about it. In a corporate leadership role, a manager could use the STATE method to talk about underperformance without making the employee defensive. Or picture this in your own family. A parent could navigate a super tense conversation about boundaries with a teenager just by focusing on making it safe first. Or how about in a really high-stakes environment like healthcare? A nurse could use those AMP tools to speak up about a potential safety issue, maybe even preventing a medical error. You see, in every single one of these cases, the right tool doesn't just solve a problem, it actually builds a stronger, more trusting relationship. You know, what's so fascinating about all these principles is that, yeah, they feel super modern and practical, but they're also echoing timeless wisdom from philosophical traditions all over the world. I mean, from Stoicism, you get this core idea of controlling what you can, which is your own response. From Buddhism, you get the insight that so much of our suffering comes from being attached to our stories. And from modern leadership psychology, we get this fundamental principle that real influence always begins with empathy. It's just a powerful reminder that this isn't just about talking differently. It's about being different, being more present, more intentional, and way more courageous. So, in the end, this book is kind of like a mirror and a map all in one. It's a mirror that shows us our own communication habits, the good and the bad, and it's a map that gives us a clear, actionable way forward. It really teaches us that conflict itself isn't the enemy. Avoiding it is. And it leaves us with this beautiful, simple, and essential truth. The most powerful conversations you'll ever have are the ones where truth meets compassion.